Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to ALLATRA TV. And for those who join us for the first time, I would like to remind that ALLATRA International Public Movement has launched a unique global international project called Creative Society. And within this project, we ask people all over the world how they envision creative and constructive society. Such a society where everyone lives in happiness and prosperity and where everyone feels safe. So our main goal is to ask all humanity about their vision on the creative society. And in order to fulfill the main goal, we decided to use modern technologies, to use the internet and the theory of 6 handshakes. So the theory of 6 handshakes says that all people on earth are connected through 5 or fewer social connections. And we invite guests to our program, and they can invite their friends and relatives to participate. And the more people will pass the information about Creative Society, the faster it will be implemented. And in the end of this program, we're going to ask our guest to share a name of a person that he would like to meet in the next live broadcast. So thank you very much for joining. And my name is Alena. My co-host is Irina today, and she will introduce our today's guest.
Hello, everyone. And today with us is Marc Jarrett. He's executive coach and a virtual power networker. If you need to find a professional in some field, Marc will gladly help you. So welcome to the program, Marc. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you came to the professional sphere where you work?
Okay, when people ask me what I do for a living, I just say 3 words, and that's I connect dots. I just love connecting people. I always have done and always will do. And when I was employed many years ago, I started my career in banking and futures broking. I was often chastised, quite rightly, for chatting too much. I wasn't really interested in working. I just wanted to party. So now here I am 35 years later, putting that gregarious side of my nature to good use by connecting dots and making introductions. And that ties into what you were saying about us all, being 6 people removed from one another. And yeah, it's wonderful.
So can you tell us, please, how did you came to the fact that you started to interact with so many people, and how is it influence your life?
Well, I spent the bulk of my career in telecoms. I was first to market with ringtones and logos. And then that became a kind of, and then I set up a celebrity chat line where people could call and speak to celebrities and raise money for good causes, which was fine until the celebrities kept all the money. The whole idea was to raise money for charity. Anyway, I moved back to the UK in 2009, and over the years I built up quite a large network, and I've been extolling the virtues of virtual networking long before coronavirus came. It's got huge advantages over in-person networking. Firstly, we're not pumping a load of pollutants into the atmosphere by driving or flying to places. So the environment is the main winner when it comes to networking virtually. The other advantage is the globality. If you go to a networking event in Kiev, you're only going to meet people from that region. Online, the world is your oyster. This morning, I was speaking to a lady in New Zealand. Later on today, I'm going to be speaking to the wonderful Chiru Manwaki, who's in Africa. The world is flat, as Thomas Friedman pointed out in his best-selling book. So I run 140 different WhatsApp groups. WhatsApp is used by 2 billion people, and each WhatsApp group has got its own theme. So this could be mental health, or investment opportunities, fashion, arts and entertainment, mergers and acquisitions, you name it. There's something for everyone in my menu of 140 WhatsApp groups. And probably by this time next week, it will be 150. Because every time I come across something new, then I create a WhatsApp group around it. Because you can have a WhatsApp group about anything. And the real magic happens in the small niche WhatsApp groups. So, for example, one of them is all about biotech. Now, I don't have a first clue about biotech, okay? But what I do know is when you get 2 or more people in the room who understand biotech, you're more likely to have a meeting of minds. So when new people come into my network, I show them like a menu of all my WhatsApp groups. They then cherry pick the ones that they feel that they're interested in. So if they do then select biotech, then hey presto, when they enter into the biotech room, the magic unfolds, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, watching these relationships unfold. So I'm all about hashtag social selling. So build up a relationship with people first, and then the money will come. And I'm also quite, I feel quite strongly about diversity and inclusion. And so I like to keep my groups full of a broad cross section of human beings. I also feel quite strongly about helping women. Only 4% of women are involved in venture capital, for example, which is outrageous when you think about it. It still is a man's world in some ways. But believe me, things have really improved in the time that I've been alive. But yeah, so connecting people is what I do, and connecting people is what I will always do. It's kind of in my DNA.
So I can see that you really enjoy collaborating with people. You interact with thousands of people, yeah? And how is it important? What is the importance of international collaboration? How do you think? Could you please share these maybe thoughts about it?
I mean, going international is a quick way for companies to expand relatively quickly. And the world is such a big place. So international expansion now is easier than ever, because you can set up a virtual entity, for example, in any given country and give the impression that you're there, whereas you might not be. So if you go to my website, mjconsultancy.com, you'll see that I'm all about helping companies expand internationally as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. The world is small, right? And we all live on the same earth, and none of the countries matters when we just interact and talk to each other. And this is resonates with the Creative Society projects on which we would like to talk about. Creative Society project is the project which launch people themselves, volunteers in the free from work time, and we ask people one question: how do you imagine a society in which each person on earth feels happy and feels comfortable in all spheres of life? Could you share your opinion on that, please?
Well, at the end of the day, it boils down to relationships. The relationships that we have with our friends and our family. That's what happiness is about.
how would you imagine the world in which each person on Earth feels happy, regardless in which country he lives? Maybe how do you imagine education and healthcare would be in such society?
Well, in an ideal world, education would be free, and it would have relatively small class sizes. The ideal kind of education would be the private schools in the United Kingdom, okay, are known to be the best schools in the world. Yeah. Ironically, they're called public schools, but the name is oxymoronic because the public can't send their children to those kind of schools because they're very expensive. Sorry. So the best school for me would be a school like that, but free. Wish me luck.
Yeah,
With regards to healthcare, we've got the National Health Service in the UK, which is under enormous pressure at the moment. The trouble is, it was introduced in an era when 65 was the age of retirement, and it was considered to be quite old. But now, of course, thank goodness, we're living longer and longer. So now you've got, 80, 85-year-olds still very active. But this is all putting pressure on the National Health Service. But if there could be a kind of global National Health Service, that would be really cool.
Thank you. Maybe you could share like a little bit more details about the actual world, the creative society. So the actual word means that creative society, it's about actually giving. It's more about doing something for others, doing something good for others. So when you said, I absolutely agree with you that it's actually, having this good relationship within the family, being happy, etc. But what about looking at it like maybe more globally? Yeah, what if all humanity, it's one big family, and this planet Earth is our home. So if we actually take care of each other, right, no matter where you come from, on what part of the world you are, in what part of the world you are, what background you have, etc. If we actually take care about each other, this is just my vision, that because we have been interviewing so many people around the world, we've been asking them, in what kind of world you want to live in? No one said that they want conflicts, they want wars, etc. So people want to live in peaceful world where people respect each other, people love each other, where there is no poverty, there are no poor people. People have basics, everybody has enough of everything in all spheres of life, and they don't need to worry about tomorrow's day, because as you probably have noticed, there are so many countries where people are struggling to survive. And how do you see the ideal world where people really are happy, not in only one part of the world, but around the whole, planet? How is it important?
It's very important. And if we had universal basic income, that would alleviate poverty. And if we could channel tax revenue more intelligently, and also take more money from the polluters and the vast multinationals who are keeping their tax liabilities to a minimum using clever accountancy tricks. If we can try and take more money from them and distribute it to the people that need it the most, then I think we can create the kind of society to which you allude.
Exactly, and we had a conferences in this regard. where people themselves discuss this question. And we also discussed the question of finance. If we would distribute finance more wisely, there would be enough of everything, because we already having enough of everything. It's just a matter of distribution and helping those who are in need.
Absolutely. And that's the trouble. And when there's a lot of corruption in the world, and often the people that need the money most, like in African countries, for example, the money doesn't end up helping the people it should be helping, because there are people above them who are greedy and keep the money, or some of the money. So, well, you asked me earlier on who I will be recommending that you interview next, and she's all
Yeah.
about helping people from the ground up and building village ecosystems using a tokenization system. So that way there's no leakage and the money actually ends up in the villages to help with the food, the water, the infrastructure, the education, and all those things that are needed to build a healthy living environment.
Yeah, we're going to ask you the name of this person in the end of our program. And I wanted to add in this regard, how important is it for each person in the world to be humane, right? Because all this, what you mentioned, this corruption and so on, it starts within each person. If each person would live by conscience and would do everything for other people, we wouldn't have such troubles. And that's why it's so important for each person
Hallelujah.
to have this
You're talking my
values.
language 100%. Absolutely. And
Yes,
unfortunately,
and
so the world has become quite a binary place. You know, you either vote for this or that. There's no grey area in the middle. Uh, so I try and take my politics from everywhere, really, not just one side or the other.
yes, and what you do, it really inspires connecting people, and it resonates with Creative Society projects. We also try to connect people, to talk to each person, and try to unite whole humanity. And I would like to add that on ALLATRAunites.com website was published an article with stages and foundations of building a creative society, where 8 foundations of creative society was discussed, and we would like to read out loud these foundations. Yes, our technical support showing it to us. First is human life, then human freedom, human safety, transparency and openness of information for all, the creative ideology, development of personality, justice and equality, and self-governing society. And you've mentioned us before the broadcast that you would like to discuss development of personality foundation. We would like to ask our technical support to show it to us. Yes, thank you. Every person in a creative society has the right to comprehensive development and personal fulfillment. Education should be free and equality accessible to all, creating conditions and expanding opportunities for a human to implement his or her creative abilities and talents. It's exactly what you've mentioned before, that education should be free and accessible. And maybe you have something else to add in this regard to this foundation.
Well, I've got a naturally curious mind, and I think the education process really never stops. You know, when we become adults, we should continue to learn, and the brain is like a muscle. And if you don't use that muscle, then it will just stagnate. And so I think it's important for us all to educate ourselves. Of course, nowadays, self-teaching is easier now than it ever has been to actually um, teach ourselves, but you can't beat good old human contact. But at the moment, human contact is quite difficult because of the global pandemic we're going through. So this is why these kind of technologies and remote learning and remote networking is so vital and game-changing almost.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe some other aspects of development of personality you would like to add?
I think sorry to keep going on about, but to expand your network of contacts that you have in your network. Now, there's a number called the Dunbar's number, which says that you can't really have more than between 100 and 200 sort of close associates in your network. So I think everyone should work on growing their networks, because it can be very valuable, not just in terms of maybe doing business together, but in terms of the human connections that networking affords.
Thank you for sharing all your ideas with us. And in your opinion, how is it important to actually talk to people nowadays? Yeah, to share this information about creative society, to ask in what kind of world people want to live in, and spread the word about this idea of the creative society. How is it important to actually talk to each person nowadays, like at the moment?
Totally important. So my first question to you is, have you got a Creative Society WhatsApp group?
Oh, we have many WhatsApp groups in the Creative Society.
And not only WhatsApp, yeah.
Okay, good. And are you finding those environments useful?
Social networks, yeah, is the best to spread the idea.
Yeah, people are getting really inspired, and they share their ideas on how to contribute, how to spread the word. And so it gets to other people even quicker, you know, this idea. And yeah, it does work. So maybe you have some ideas on how we can spread this idea with people.
Well, what I can do is include your WhatsApp group on my menu, and then when I meet new people, they will see that group in my menu. We'll explain briefly what it's about making the world a better place. That will resonate with a lot of people. And then when they join the group, I hand it over to you and you can take over. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
It's all about people.
Yeah. And you've mentioned the person which you wanted to recommend it to us. We also always ask people to name one person which he would like to meet in a live broadcast. So, whom you would like to meet?
Okay, this is a lady called Marisol Guzman, who's known as one of the world's leading women game changers. And at the age of 16, she studied petroleum engineering, later diversifying her education into the likes of civil engineering and hydrology and hydropower. So what she's about is, she's together with me, we have created a WhatsApp group called the Fabulous Futurists, who share the same ethos as you guys, essentially. And our vision is to generate a balance between the pre-existing fallacies of communal sustainability and the utilization of future technology to bring about an equilibrium, facilitating with the Fabulous Futuristics the co-creation of micro-technology in the service of micro ecosystems, essentially communities with microgrids that can operate autonomously throughout the world. So I think you'll be blown away with her. And my only difficulty with Marisol is keeping up with her brain, because she's so she's definitely got genius-like qualities. So it's quite difficult sometimes keeping up with her mind. But you'll see what I mean when you interview her.
Great, thank you so much. We can't wait, you know, see her, and we can't wait talking to her. So thank you so much thank you for being with us. And we would like to remind our viewers that if you would like to know more about the Project Creative Society, then please visit ALLATRAunites.com. There you will see a join button. So our technical support, if you can show us the video, please. Thank you so much. So here we go. This is the website. You can join us pressing the join button. You can choose your language, and you can share your vision of the Creative Society.
Fantastic.
And if you want to be our guest or to be part of our team, then please send us an email that you will see now on the screen. Here we go. Marc, thank you so much for tonight's conversation. Thank you for being with us. And it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.